Welcome, Comrade Tulu Alfred, Chairman, Pan-African Congress, Kenya. So, can you please tell us what's Pan-African Congress, Kenya, and your affiliation to the Global Pan-African Congress?
Thank you so much, Owino Steve. Pan-African Congress is a movement that was initiated and formally registered by some young people in Kenya. It got its recognition and accreditation from the Global Pan-African Movement that was signed by the international chairman of Global Pan-African Movement in Uganda. That is Comrade Honorable Kainda Utafire. We all realize that Pan-Africanism started before 1900, but the one that is now structured started in 1900 with the likes of W.E. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, among others. It has had around 7 congresses. These 7 congresses or conferences are meetings where the leaders of Pan-African countries would meet, deliberate, and come out with resolutions that were affecting Kenyans. These resolutions were required that they were to be implemented by various countries. So 1900 up to 1974, we had around 6 conferences or congresses that were attended by some of the leading lights of African countries by then. Notably, in Kenyan case, we are having by then Comrade Jomo Kenyatta, there was Jaramogi Oginga, there was Tom Mboya, among others. So importantly is to note that during all this period, from 1900 all the way to 1974, there was no structured, a formalized organization that was pushing for the agenda of the Pan-African organizations within the continent. Very sad that it is indeed this Pan-Africanism that led to the independence of most of the African states. And this one is really stipulated in 1945 when African leaders met in Manchester in the Great Britain and pushed for giving African states a self-determination. In other words, allowing them to be independent, requiring all the colonizers by then, the Great Britain, Portuguese, French, to leave our country free for us so that we manage ourselves, so that we have that sovereignty. But then, the unfortunate thing is that immediately these African leaders got independence, they forgot Pan-Africanism. This is what they did. They met in 1963 in Addis Ababa, came up with a new outfit that was called OAU. So we were having OAU that was managing the African states, but at the same time we were having the Pan-African movement that was not legally structured. In 1994, in Kampala, and we really have to appreciate Comrade His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who hosted a number of African leaders or presidents. Notably, there was Nelson Mandela by then. There was the late Comrade Garang. There was Mele Zenawi, among others. They met in Kampala and agreed that Pan-Africanism has been there all years, but there has never been a structured, a body, a secretariat that was there, given mandate by the people, by the leaders of African countries to run the affairs. And the way it was envisioned, by the way, the Global Pan-African Movement was to be an intergovernmental organization that was managing the African activities at other international arenas. So in 1994, when the leaders met, they agreed, and that is how the Global Pan-African Movement was born. As things stand now, the patron of Global Pan-African Movement is Comrade His Excellency Kaguta Yoweri Museveni. Unfortunately, he has been funding that secretariat by himself. We've been asking ourselves, what are other African states doing based on resolutions of 1994? That one should be discussions. We are pushing, and we believe that when we meet for the 8th Pan-African Congress that is going to be held in Kampala in the course of this year, and it has been hinted that it might be conducted in the month of August, we are going to ask hard questions. And more fundamentally, we would want to know, we have deposited an MOU between Pan-African Movement, Global Pan-African Movement, and African Union. We must then take our space in the political discourse of this continent. We've seen how African Union has failed us, unfortunately. We really don't believe in the Moussa Faki leadership. We were shocked that Israel, of all the countries in this world, was given observer status at the African Union. These are things we are not going to accept. And we want to tell people who are going to attend the 8th Pan-African Congress that business is going to be unusual. Sellouts must be chased out of Global Pan-African Movement.